Joining me live is Mark Montgomery, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. Mark, thanks for joining us. The stakes are high for this election in Taiwan. Are there any fears China is interfering in the election process?
Well, thank you for having me, Ashley. And there are. I mean, China has brought quite a bit of pressure on Taiwan. Some of it's visual, increased intercepts by aircraft and increased penetrations of security zones by ships. And some of it's been malicious cyber activity that's created disinformation and false stories about the DP, mostly about the DPP's candidate for President, Vice President Lai. So there has been Chinese interference, but that's consistent. There was Chinese interference in the 2020 and 2016 elections as well. So really no surprise there.
And how significant do you think that interference will be? Could it sway the election in any way?
I'm not sure. I think the Taiwans did a very good job of identifying disinformation early, getting stories squashed as quickly as they could. So it may not influence the results much, but it is a close election, as your reporter rightly pointed out. This is going to be decided by a few points. So any interference is bad. I will say the interference does sometimes have a negative effect when properly discovered and reported. People are somewhat frustrated at Chinese malicious activity.
And given it is going to be a tight election, how soon do you think a result will be known? And what do you make of the most recent polling so far?
So the polling's really close. I think about 34 for Lai to 31 for Lai, from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, 31 for the Kuomintang opponent, Ho. And then in the low 20s now for Ku, the third party candidate. So I do think the presidential election will probably end up with the Democratic Progressive Party and continuation of 4 more years of rule. But the legislature could easily flip into going from the DPP having control of the legislature to the 2 opposition parties, the Kuomintang and the TPP having control. And that kind of split government is going to be very hard for potentially President Lai to work with. And as far as knowing the results, I think we'll know the presidential one, early in the United States time, early in the morning tomorrow, your time, probably late in the evening. The legislature is getting all those right, getting the different ways they have proportional representation. It may take a little time to know the exact layout of the legislature.
Okay, and China's ambassador to Australia has issued a pretty dire warning to Australia, saying any miscalculations in Canberra's ties with the next Taiwanese government would see the Australian people pushed over the edge of an abyss. What do you make of those comments?
Well, grossly inappropriate comments for an ambassador to make to his host country, but probably not inconsistent with what you hear all the time. I would say, look, this is a democratic country conducting a democratic election, and that election will have a result, and that election will have consequences, and we'll see what happens. I think no matter who is elected, the United States and Australia and Japan will be able to work with that leader to continue to maintain security relationships and ensure that Taiwan has sufficient resources to defend themselves, and the United States is able to meet its obligations under the Taiwan Relations Act. So try not to overreact to anything. I think that comment by the Chinese ambassador was just such an overreaction.
And just quickly before we go, what can you tell us about the Taiwan People Party? It was only founded in 2019, so a relatively new party. Is their campaign having any traction with voters?
It is. They've had good attraction with younger voters. So really the younger vote for the last 3 cycles has been breaking very heavily towards the DPP. And not surprisingly, the vast majority of people under the age of 30 no longer consider themselves Chinese. They purely consider themselves Taiwan. So, that had been given the DPP a strong base. The TPP has run a campaign to really get at that younger voter. And so it's weakened the Democratic Progressive Party, the ruling party's hold in that group. So it has had an effect, and that'll probably be why they lose the legislature, the ruling party.
Mark, thanks for your insights.
Thank you very much for having me, Ashley.